Hi, my name's Ethan Bodnaruk. I am a Mennonite, which is a pacifist or nonviolent denomination of Christianity. We focus especially on highlighting the teachings and examples of Jesus and how we kind of practically live our lives and our faith. It's kind of an interesting experience how I came to it. Towards the end of college, I got interested in kind of deeper forms of prayer, and I learned about the Trappist monasteries, like a contemplative Catholic order where they really focus on silent prayer and inner transformation. So I went there to experience that and just try kind of different way of life. Um, and while I really enjoyed that. And while I was there, I read about this movement during the Protestant Reformation, Anabaptists, which became the Mennonites, and how they really took the reforms further. And a lot of the early leaders of the Mennonites came from the monastic tradition, and they took with them their tradition, medieval mysticism, that kind of contemplative prayer that I was just immersed in. And whereas a lot of the other Reformation kind of just got rid of all previous tradition or anything related to Catholicism. So I just kind of saw a really interesting parallel between where I was and what happened in this really interesting time of history. And so I wanted to check out this group and see if it fit, and I really liked it. There's a strong focus on peace and justice with the Mennonites. So an important experience I've had engaging the religious other is with atheists. I'm an engineer, and I really value science and what science can tell us, and to be kind of like not critical in a bad way, but be critical of how we come to believe what we believe, what's true, like different ways of finding truth and evidence. And so one kind of encounter, even though it's just through a book, is with new atheists like Sam Harris and Richard Dawkins and different people like that. Questioning religion and what goes wrong with it, and what's factual and what's not, and what's dogma and what's not. Those are really tough areas, but for me, they've been really important in reconciling science and religion and finding what's deepest in my own traditions. And that has definitely affected me a lot. And I think atheists in the US are kind of don't necessarily realize that there's a lot of prejudice against that group too. A lot of other groups, it's kind of more known, but I've heard that atheists are the least electable group in the United States. It's not a very popular position to have, but there's a lot of people who are asking good questions and have their heart in the right place. So there's a lot of challenges in today's world, and I think talking about the opportunities of working together for people of faith. And I think one way that can be is just through a shared experience of values, of love, of compassion, of humility. I think all the different world religions have had an interesting and kind of tenuous relationship with power. Like large religions have exerted a lot of power over others with bad consequences. At times they've been oppressed or persecuted. Smaller religions have been at the mercy of a lot of other political groups. So I think compared with the like shared compassion and kind of vision for improvement in the future, religions have a lot in common, and they also, I think, have a lot to explore in this idea of power and its dangers, and that's a value we can um, kind of bring to our political systems, our rulers, or presidents, whoever, and say, hey, we got to be really careful about power, how we use it, how it tends to corrupt us, or we use it to favor people like us. I think I would challenge them to focus more on the very root causes of a lot of problems in our societies, of injustice, of inequality, of racism, of violence. Really look at what are those root causes and how can we address them in our different societies. What kind of roadblocks are there structurally in our economic systems and our government systems, with money that's involved, power that's involved, like I was talking about earlier. Power is key. And to get deep, because that's what religion's supposed to be. And so if religious leaders can go deep, then I think they can add something valuable to these conversations. And I think religious leaders need to not be afraid to shake things up a little bit. If they're not challenging the way things are done, if they're not making people question or questioning leaders or their motives, I think that's an issue, because a lot of different religious traditions, they shake things up, always for a good cause. But and then the other thing is just a lot of nations. I think we really need to question like a narrow version of self-interest. When countries act and they interact with other countries in the world, yeah, they need to look out for themselves and their own people, but do they do that by manipulating others, or making sure their leaders support them, and leaders of other countries support us, or is really helping build autonomy and build local institutions, and give other countries the freedom to be how they're going to be and develop how they're going to be. Um, is that really in our I think that's really in our self-interest in the long run. So I would encourage religious leaders to do that. And any parent, I'm sure, is scared to let their kid go off and become themselves and make mistakes and learn from them. But I think we need to look at self-interest. What I want isn't necessarily what's best for other people. So go religious leaders, go do that. Thanks.